So it's all happened. The reason that the stream was a little bit aggro coming in with some music to get pumped up is that I think what we're starting to see now that's happening in American politics. I think people are starting to wake the fuck up to what everybody, with a brain was telling you back in 2015, 2016, that the media is beyond corrupt. They are an arm of the Democratic political machinery, the propaganda arm, specifically. And it doesn't matter. I'll say this every stream from now until the election's over, the main election. It doesn't matter whether you are a right-wing non-establishment, left-wing non-establishment. The key to it all is being non-establishment. And you're going to see some shit over the course of this stream, by the way. Like, you don't even have to be for Bernie. You might not be a Bernie bro. You might not even be left-wing. But the reality is, whatever your politics, you should want the democratic process to be free from as much corruption as possible. And what we've seen endlessly since whenever Bernie sort of becomes the thing that he is destined to become, and this is his last chance, in my opinion, because of his age, and that is the sort of iconoclastic left-wing youth movement kind of leader. All the people who are sick of progressive nonsense are going to gravitate towards Trump. All the people that are sick of capitalist nonsense and that kind of thing, as well as wanting to implement some of that the progressive not-so nonsense, they're going to gravitate towards Bernie. And it's only this weird, status quo of, moderate Republicans and moderate Democrats that are just going to keep the gears churning over. Bonuses for bankers, tax breaks for the rich, fuck you if you're poor. That's what we've seen with, kind of Trumpism and populism. And, Bernie and Trump are kind of, as cliched as it is, the flip side of the same coin. And people are starting to see through it right now. And I don't think it's ever become more apparent than the entrance of Bloomberg into the fucking ring and the pathetic fawning we've seen over him in the media, much of which he controls. He's a Democrat candidate that was formerly a Republican. Trump is a Republican candidate that was former a Democrat. I know which way round I'd rather it was, by the way. I'd rather a Democrat was cloaking themselves as a Republican than a fucking Republican cloaking themselves as a Democrat. I think there's some elements of the democratic values that can go over with the Republican Party. I don't think the more extremes of Bloomberg's ideology have got any place in the DNC. But anyway, just one point before we start breaking down the horror show of his campaign, since he's kind of tossed his hat in the ring. And it's a mix of horrifying racism and boomer cringe. I mean, this is like something you've never seen before in your life, guys. It's like you're not even going to believe some of it, I'm telling you. But the reality is this, and I said this, I made this point at the time. You can go back, watch the VODs. What happens if you call your political opponent Hitler, literally Hitler, and then a worse candidate comes along, one with a proven track record of racism, one that's done unspeakable things, and they're on your side? They're your team. What do you do? And this is why the bind, it should be hilarious. The bind the Democratic Party are in after fucking 3 years of Russian agents, fascism, racism, white supremacy, you fucking name it. Everything that's antithetical to American values. That's what they've been pinging Trump with on next to no evidence. Now, I'm an objective guy, right? So if you ever showed me something that is inarguably racist, I'll go, that's racist. And that person probably is a racist, and I'm going to judge them accordingly and condemn them. But what I've seen increasingly is this weird kind of, it's when he calls a country a shithole, it's because there's black people in that country. And it's like, no, this is a leap. This isn't racism, okay? Or he said, hey, we should ban all Muslims till we find out what's going on. It's Islamophobic. It's stupid. It's anti-constitutional. It's not racist. So you've got to be, I mean, the fact that one of the annoying things about where leftists have kind of got to is that words don't mean what they mean anymore, and it's just vomit. They just vomit out, buzzwords and gibberish, and they change the definition. I was talking about this the other day. White isn't about being white anymore. It's about it's a system of privilege and perks, and sometimes Asians can benefit from whiteness, but not always. And it's like, listen, guys, like, maybe you're fucking just mental. Do you ever think about that? Do you ever think like you just woke up one day and you just lost your fucking minds? Or maybe, like all of a sudden. It's just nonsense. But that's where we're at, right? So I have said, if Donald Trump is a white supremacist, he is one of the worst white supremacists in the history of white supremacy. Because just the other day, he handed out a bunch of pardons to, long-term incarcerated black people and Latino people who had very dubious convictions or really harsh sentences. And these included people that Obama himself didn't pardon. So what does that tell me? I mean, I would just say this. Logic dictates that a white supremacist doesn't want more non-white people on the streets when they don't have to put them there, right? And that's how white supremacists think. So all of it, the logic, the narrative starts to fall apart when you apply any critical thought to it. Do I think he's bigoted in some areas? Obviously. Do I think he's prejudiced in some areas? Obviously. Find me a white billionaire that isn't, right? And that doesn't excuse it. But now we've got Bloomberg in the ring. And everything they have accused Donald Trump of, Bloomberg actually is. So we talked last time around about stop and frisk, right? We talked about stop and frisk. And for those that didn't catch that stream and want a quick summary about, oh yeah, but I did hear that in the news. Stop and frisk, stop and frisk. What he said in a leaked, well, it wasn't even leaked. It was re-dredged up by opposition research. What they did, so what he said was, when he was mayor of New York, he implemented a policy called stop and frisk. And the idea was that you target areas where they have high crime, and you target the demographic that you believe will be committing that crime in those high crime areas, and seemingly without due cause or reasonable suspicion, you pat them down, and you then, if they've got any drugs or guns on them, even though they weren't in the process of committing a crime, even though you had no probable cause, you confiscate the guns, you confiscate the drugs, and you put them in the system. That's stop and frisk. And what this does is, it obviously, as you can imagine, brings crime down in the areas. And people go, hey, this is brilliant, crime's down. All you had to do was violate everyone's constitutional rights. And this is what blows my mind when you talk to right-wing people about it. Right-wing people go, oh yeah, but surely the ends justifies the means. And it's like, well, crime's down. Those people had guns. Those people had drugs. It's like, okay, well, we could stop all crime in America, pretty much all of it, tomorrow if we just removed all your constitutional rights for everybody. Why have any rights at all? Why not just let a benevolent dictator send armed guards into your house at any time of night to see what you're up to? Why not? Why not have constant 24-hour monitoring and surveillance? And no, that's just unconstitutional. I mean, we've got a right to freedom, a right to privacy. Yeah, exactly. So do black people. Crazy, eh? Crazy concept. So what Stop and Frisk did, and this is what he said in the interview that came out from 2015, was that he said there is one suspect committing crime in America. This is what he said. There is one suspect committing crime in America, and you can Xerox it. It is an 18 to 24 black male. Xerox it. Don't Treat these people as individuals. Don't think about any context around them. Just stop and frisk that person. And he's on tape saying this. I played it last stream. And you can Xerox it. That was his quote. So what does that tell you? I mean, post 9/11, everyone was getting very sensitive about racial profiling. This is an interview talking about his time after 9/11 when he took office. How he purposefully implemented a policy that racially profiled young black men. And he turned around and he said, well, the murder rate came down. Now, just as an aside, by the way, this is where you really get into the weeds with what people believe and what people don't. Donald Trump not only supported stop and frisk at the time, he actually came out during the stop and frisk controversy this time around and said, yeah, stop and frisk was a good policy, lowered their murders. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. But that didn't blow up in the news. So, whatever. All the Trumpians get to take the moral high ground for a moment and laugh at Bloomberg. But you should be cognizant of the fact that that is a policy. Trump likes the sound of that. And again, if you ever implemented it, especially, on like some sort of nationwide basis, there you go. There's the proof. There's the smoking gun that he's racist. The end. I'd support it. I would agree. I would say, you know what? Maybe he was racist the whole time. But, can't get people on what they think or what you think they might think or what you think they might do if there was no checks and balances stopping them. This is not reality. Anyway, so stop and frisk was already making things bad for Bloomberg from the moment he come in. His campaign, despite the spending, which, by the way, as of today, he is spending $82 a second since he entered the race. This is what being an oligarch will get you. This is what being a billionaire will get you. $82 a second since he entered the race. Non-stop ads. And it's made him a contender from nothing. He didn't even go to Iowa. He didn't even go to New Hampshire. He's never been on the debate stage until Nevada. Spoiler, he was fucking trash. We'll get to that. This is what having a disproportionate amount of money will buy you. Now, stop and frisk was already lingering in the news. You got to give the media credit where credit's due, okay? And I'm telling you guys, what you have to remember about the mainstream media is 95% of it probably is filth, garbage, and propaganda. And sometimes that propaganda is at odds with each other, and occasionally a bit of good work gets done. By accident, almost. This is why you can never write it off. This is why it's still the best form of sourcing that we have when it comes to talking intelligently about world affairs, current events, politics, etc. But this report came out in the New York Times from the moment... see, I even queued something up this time. This is how fucking on it I have been today, guys. I actually even had this queued up to avoid the strobing and archive nonsense. I'm fucking good. Anyway, in an article called Bloomberg's Billions, How the Candidate Built an Empire of Influence, it explicitly talks about how people are sort of afraid of criticizing Bloomberg, afraid of pushing back at his vanity project that is running for president. You can see that at the time this came out, which is, on the 15th, $401 million he'd spent on his campaign at that point. As I said, it's about $82 a second. Ignore the fact the circles aren't coming up. There's a lot of graphics in there. You can go check out the actual article itself. But the key thing to it here is, I will read you a specific quote that I have got highlighted over here. Let me just get it for you. Okay. So, there it is. So, It is not simply goodwill that Mr. Bloomberg has built. His political and philanthropic, I can't even fucking speak, philanthropic spending has also secured the allegiance or cooperation of powerful institutions and leaders within the Democratic Party who might take issue with parts of his record were they not so reliant on his largesse. In interviews with The Times, no one described being threatened or coerced by Mr. Bloomberg or his money, but many said his wealth was an inescapable consideration, a gravitational force powerful enough to make coercion unnecessary. They aren't going to criticize him in his 2020 run because they don't want to jeopardize receiving financial support from him in the future, said Paul S. Ryan, Vice President of Policy and Litigation at the good government group Common Cause. And this is the key part of the entire article, which the mainstream media, that you can see who's immediately aligned with Bloomberg, because this story should have blown up immensely. That chilling effect was apparent in 2015. This is back when he was, talking about how great stop and frisk was, to researchers at the Center for American Progress, a liberal policy group, when they turned in a report on anti-Muslim bias in the United States. Their draft included a chapter of more than 4,000 words about New York City police surveillance of Muslim communities. Mr. Bloomberg was mentioned by name 8 times in the chapter, which was reviewed by the New York Times. When the report was published a few weeks later, that entire chapter was gone, and so was any mention of Mr. Bloomberg's name. So, right there is what we're dealing with, okay? And this should have been dominating the news cycle. This is corruption by insinuation. This is Bloomberg or one of his cronies getting to the Center for American Progress and essentially airbrushing himself out of the negative history of American-Muslim relations. He didn't play a part in it, neither did his New York Police Department. That entire chapter, 4,000 words, saying how we could have done better, how we maybe failed American Muslims, all gone. No need to know about that. I might be wanting to run for another political office at some point in the future. And even though there's no evidence it was directly pushed, no evidence that it was directly stated this had to happen, it happens nonetheless. And it happens nonetheless because you're dealing with one of the most wealthy and powerful people in the world. And for him, consequences aren't like how they are for any other political figure. It's a disgrace. It should have been a national news story. It would have been a national news story. But once again, there is this forgiveness. If you're going against Trump and you're not Bernie Sanders and you're going against Trump, all your sins have to be forgiven because we must get a Democrat back in the White House. It doesn't matter if that Democrat is on record doing heinous shit. It doesn't matter if the Democrat has a history of, implementing racist policies when they were a mayor. It doesn't matter if they use their influence to airbrush actual Islamophobia, institutional Islamophobia and harassment out of history. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We've got to beat the orange man. Now, I wish that was all that had happened for Bloomberg since he had come into the race. Obviously, when you become a political candidate, especially one who would have the potential to run for president, even somebody as powerful as Bloomberg, people are going to be digging into their shit. But you didn't have to dig too hard. Everyone knows Bloomberg is a fucking sleaze. Here we go. This is a report over in the cut. Oh, well, I'm not reading that one, am I? Nice one, XSplit. This is the worst things that Michael Bloomberg has said about women. If you go down this article, you can check it out yourselves. It is a detailed scan, a detailed breakdown of the 64 sexual harassment cases that he has had to settle in one way or another at his companies. 64. All of them were bound by NDAs, so they couldn't speak publicly. Interesting aside, he got so mind-fucked by Elizabeth Warren in the debate. He's actually come out now and said, I'll free them from the NDAs. I don't think you should do that, Mikey. But then again, that's the confidence of an oligarch. That's the confidence of a man who knows that there will be no consequences. It doesn't matter what's in the documents. He'll just buy some more ads. He'll pay off some more influencers. He'll buy a media company. He'll do what he has to do, right? So you can go read that article. I'm not going to bother laboring that particular point. There was this. Now, if Donald Trump had said anything like this, it's over. He's cancelled. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Bloomberg says this, according to court documents. What's it he said? Well, while he was talking to, come on, Huffington Post, Michael Bloomberg allegedly told a new mother to find, quote, some black for a nanny. Again, remember, it's the orange man who's the racist. Democrats, they're incapable. They're incapable of racism, right? Because they're just pure of heart and they want what's best for you. And it doesn't matter whether they're billionaire oligarchs, who used to be Republicans. It's fine. It's completely fine. Just find some black, just dismissive like that. Now that is an inarguably racist statement. That comes from the mind of somebody that probably does think of black people in dehumanized terms. I can't think of anything else. And you can see, look, according to the lawsuit, this is the quote that Bloomberg is supposed to have shouted. I should say allegedly, I suppose. Not that it matters at this point. It's a fucking baby. All it does is eat and shit. It doesn't know the difference between you and anyone else. All you need is some black who doesn't even have to speak English to rescue it from a burning building. That was his take on telling somebody that he worked with, about having to deal with parenthood, essentially. That's Mr. Bloomberg. So this is your Democrat candidate. This is one of the Democrat frontrunners. And I'm struggling to find anything analogous from Donald Trump. I really am. If it's there, please show me. Because remember, the people that are going to prop this cunt up are the same people that were telling you, oh no, we got Hitler in the White House. We got Hitler in the White House. Hitler's in the White House. Well, who's this guy? If Donald Trump's Hitler, who the fuck is this guy? I want to know. I want to know what this, is there is he Mecha Hitler? Is that from Wolfenstein? Is that who he is? Is that who he has to be? I just can't even understand it. Anyway, it doesn't end there. There was another video that got released of Bloomberg where he said, you'll hear it yourself, he said black people and Hispanic people don't know how to behave in the workplace. That's exactly what he says. There's no additional context. It's actually what he says.
Cohort of black and Latino males.
He also describes... I forgot about that bit. He also describes a group of black and Latino males as a cohort. As a cohort. Not a group, not a gathering, a cohort. A very militarized kind of word. Anyway.
This cohort of black and Latino males aged, let's say, 16 to 25 that don't have jobs, don't have any prospects, don't know how to find jobs, don't know what their skill sets are, don't know how to behave in the workplace where they have to work collaboratively.
So there you go. According to Michael Bloomberg, a guy who could very well win the nomination for the presidency on the Democratic Party, he thinks black people and Latino people, Hispanic people, don't know how to behave in the workplace. They just don't know how to behave. Why won't these kids start behaving? Why must they always misbehave? This is the world of Michael Bloomberg, right? And it's insane to me. It's insane to me. Again, tell me what's wrong with this picture. How many more examples, by the way, am I going to have to dig out? Because this is going around social media. This is going around social media. This ain't going mainstream media. Where is the takedown? Where is the CNN days of hand-wringing about Michael Bloomberg's racist past? That's what we had to put up with on far less evidence for Donald Trump every day ever since he took office. From a little bit before, in fact. From on the campaign trail. It's absolute madness that this is in people's history. Well, surely he's progressive in other areas, guys. No. If you care about trans rights, Bloomberg's not your man. Video surfaced showing Michael Bloomberg referring to transgender people as it last spring. He also suggested LGBTQ rights isn't a winning formula for 2020. That's that. These people are just its, right? That's not going to go over well, is it? With the Democrat Party, it shouldn't, right? So you can go. By the way, I think you'll be less angry when you grow up, son. And the idea that LGBTQ rights isn't a winning formula. I mean, it's just like it's not a formula. It's like it's just something that you should probably look at improving upon if you can. we can do a better job on that front, in my opinion. It's great. I mean, we made great strides. So that shouldn't go over well. What else has he done? Well, Michael Bloomberg has also, right? You know, the people that they get to fucking call you and put leaflets and get you on mailing lists during election time, you know, because that there's a whole big machine that you got to get fucking rumbling if you want to actually, you know, persuade floater voters or whatever. Well, he exploited prison labor. Oh, wait, it's a HuffPost one. Don't worry, guys. You wacky HuffPost. So wacky. He exploited prison labor to get this done. It is insane. Hang on, let me just get that. Get that. There it is. It'll just take a second. Definitely taking a second. There we go. So this is a report also over on the HuffPo. Michael Bloomberg confirms he used prison labor to make his 2020 campaign calls. After a report revealed his campaign exploited prison laborers to make calls on his behalf, Bloomberg said he's no longer working with the company that hired him. Don't worry. So where are we at now? Multiple examples of implementing racist policies, multiple examples of expressing racist thoughts, multiple examples of speaking in derogatory terms about non-white people. He clearly doesn't like trans people, doesn't think LGBTQ rights is a big deal, and also is happy to exploit prison labor. Remind me, which part of Bloomberg is a Democrat, guys? Can anyone tell me which part of him is the Democrat, right? Because it's like, I don't know, I'm not really getting a Democratic vibe. In fact, everything he said so far, there's parties out there for him. Richard Spencer's usually affiliated with them, funnily enough. And as it just so happens, Richard Spencer definitely endorsed Bloomberg. He came out and said Trump has betrayed white nationalists, which, by the way, when Richard Spencer endorsed Trump, that was national news. Why are white supremacists endorsing Trump? White supremacists are now leaving Donald Trump in droves because of everything he's doing for black communities, and crickets in the mainstream media. We can't report that. Doesn't fit the narrative. Richard Spencer comes out and endorses Bloomberg. Hello? Media? Hello? Anyone home? Are we working today? Oh, no, it's another bank holiday, is it? No problem. Literally a fucking bank holiday, because Bloomberg has fucking bought these fucking shills off. Right? It's unbelievable. Anyway, so this is Bloomberg, yes, exploiting prison labor to make calls. So it's like, you got a guy like, fucking, he's, it's Harry the Shank here, like a fucking 4-time murderer, just wondering if, Bloomberg and the mob can count. I mean, not the mob. Just can we count on your support? Like, what the fuck is that? Ridiculous scenes. Okay. No, don't worry though. It's over now. It's over. Well, no, because remember, billionaire. So if all of this negative press, right? This should impact on a political figure's campaign, but it's not going to, because he is using all of the dirty tricks in the book, and it starts at home. It starts with his name. It starts with Bloomberg, because why do you know? What do you know that name? When you say Bloomberg, do you think of the media arm or do you think of the guy? I think of the media arm, and here it is. They actually ran on February 18th. On Bloomberg. Bloomberg campaign says it's a two-man race for the nomination. And you can see Yasha Ali, a good account to follow. Bloomberg campaign says it's a two-man race for the nomination per Bloomberg, the news organization owned and controlled by Bloomberg. Of course. He is. Wait till I show you the dirty fucking tricks he is using in this campaign, people. You are not going to believe that anybody can stoop so low. It's like Banana Republic type shit. It's unthinkable. But it starts at home. And if you remember, right, Bloomberg came out and said, my paper will not investigate Democratic candidates during this time because of the conflict of interest. But yeah, we'll keep investigating Trump, and we'll keep running propaganda about my campaign and how well it's going. Absolutely unbelievable. This is the state of the media in America. This is the problem you've got. Every billionaire with a fucking dream and an ego, when they get bored of spending money and fucking models and flying helicopters and buying islands and doing whatever they do, they go one of two ways. They either want power, so they go into politics, or they get guilt and they go into philanthropy. And that's it. That's all there is to it. That's because there's nothing left. Because money is not the be-all and end-all. And this is what they do. They get newspapers and they try and fucking control the message. Because it's a fucking rush, isn't it? It's literally like Bloomberg is. I'm meant to take him seriously. He's like somehow a relevant candidate. Why? Why is he a relevant candidate? What, because he wants to be? It's ridiculous. I mean, that's pretty much the strength of the argument, right? He wants to be. That's what we've got in this country. We got a problem with saying no to the fucking super wealthy. We got a problem with saying no to China. We got a problem with saying no to Saudi Arabia. We got a problem saying no to Qatar. We just don't do it anymore. We just don't say no to these people, and they push and they push and they push and they move the line. And this is what we've got. A bunch of fucking, oligarchs by any other name. And they get to do what they want. They don't have to pay tax. What you gonna do? We know the loopholes. What? You gonna actually tax us a fair share? We'll just move all the money out of the country. It's offshore now. What you gonna do? Can't do shit. This is where we're at. So, also, I do want to just add, by the way, criticizing Bloomberg by saying Bloomberg owns Bloomberg is not anti-Semitic. Like this, Johnny come Notley decided it was. Because Ted Cruz pointed out it's almost as if he owns the media, right? And obviously we know that's an anti-Semitic trope, but in this case, it's just real. He literally owns it. Like, not figuratively, not, ooh, does he? Because you've been on poll that night. Actually does, literally. Bloomberg literally owns Bloomberg. So, this was the Republican Andy Levin came out and said, words matter. Owning the media outlet carrying this message is indeed a problem. However, accusing a Jewish candidate of owning the media is anti-Semitic. It's like, brilliant. Shill for him harder, my friend. Shill for him harder. We now exist in a world where if somebody literally owns the media, and it's even got their motherfucking name on it like a George Foreman grill, you better not fucking say, or you're in trouble. It's ridiculous. Right. Anyway, there was a couple. Let's get to the cringe. Let's get into the cringe, because he thinks he can run this, like, he's seen the success of the Bernie Sanders grassroots campaign. Okay, he's seen it, and he wants to replicate that, but he doesn't understand how, because he doesn't have any kind of like natural excitement. He doesn't have any. There is no youth movement going over to Bloomberg. It's literally people that he pays. So there was this like unbelievable like story that came out where people were literally being offered unbelievable amounts of cash to make memes for Bloomberg. This is true. Again, you can look this up. He was paying people to make memes for him and post it up there. All sorts of influencers. I thought it was a fucking joke. Okay, so let's talk about the meme. The memes. Let's talk about what Bloomberg has been, creating. To try and win people over. Yes, he's been bribing influencers. Yes, influencers refused to be bound by NDAs and actually decided that they were just going to tell everybody, yeah, I'm getting paid, so this isn't even an endorsement. It's just something I did for cash. But it doesn't matter, because Bloomberg thinks, yes, memes. With all of the memes, we will become president or whatever. Yes. But of course, it doesn't work like that. They have to actually fucking mean something. They have to actually resonate with people. And they don't. I'm going to show you an example of a Bloomberg team meme. And I promise you, guys, like, this is legit. We need to put a warning on the stream right now. We need to actually have a fucking health warning, a surgeon's warning or something on the stream right now, because you are going to cringe yourself in half. If you haven't seen a Bloomberg meme, I don't know if you're ready. I really don't. They are really, really bad. So I'm giving you due warning. I never do trigger warnings. Never do trigger warnings. You need a trigger warning for this.
Lie, unfair, lie, lie,
I mean, you surely just stop it now, right? No. Look how much of this there is.
Unfair, lie.
We're watching it all. No. Well, do you know why we're watching it all? We're watching it all because that fucking moron called me a Trump supporter. This is your fucking punishment. You drive those people out of my fucking chat. Or this is what you get, Bloomberg's. Collective punishment. New rules.
Lie. Unfair. Lie.
We're not even halfway. It's fucking insane. I can't even believe this is a real thing that actually fucking happened. Like. Just another 30 seconds, guys. Don't worry about it. Brilliant. I'm texting Mike right now. You've got me 2.5 minutes of absolute excruciating bullshit. Sad story as well. Those gingerbread men in the video were actually stopped and frisked on the way to the studio, and then when they got in there, were sexually harassed. So, bit of a fucking nightmare. But anyway, Team Bloomberg doing the worst fucking memes on the fucking internet. Right? It's absolute garbage. It's absolute fucking nonsense. And this is what he's paying for. And he thinks this is going to resonate with young people. Like, seriously, right? I get it, right? Like, you Zoomers, you call everybody who's over 30 a boomer. And if you're in your late 30s like me, even though I'm cool as fuck, I'm a boomer. And then real boomers, I don't even know what you call them. And then if you're depressed, it's a doomer. If you're addicted to porn, you're a coomer. Like, I've tried to keep up, right? Like, but this is cringe by boomer standards. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. It's so ridiculous that someone in his office signed off on this. Oh yeah, the kids love gingerbread men, beats, and the word lie. That is it. Oh, and dump Trump. Brilliant, unbelievable. So horrific memes. They're going out there. Paid influencers, paid shills, that's all out there. Let me show you another dirty trick. Let me show you something that's absolutely filthy. It is filthy, right? Like eating a fucking cold pot noodle out of a trash can. Filthy. Like, no. Tell me, if you can, what's wrong with this advert that the Mike Bloomberg team put out? See if you can fucking figure it out, right? Because when I look at that advert, right, what it says to me is that Obama's kind of saying, Mike will get it done, because Obama's on there, right? But Obama's not endorsing Bloomberg. Obama's not even said anything about Bloomberg. That's a fucking shotgun chef. I've got some good material. That's a good one. He said Mike Bloomberg is stopping and frisking Obama. That's fucking good, sir. Ooh, you are a sharp one. I like you. That's the kind of people I like in my chat, right? Intelligent, funny. You see, that's funnier than anything I would have said. Brilliant. Yes. Getting the morons out. Let the clever people stay. But anyway, there's an intimation here. And the intimation is Obama thinks Mike Bloomberg will get the job done. He thinks no such thing. He said no such thing. But what he's done is, and I'm going to say it, I'm going to tell you straight up, he thinks, because he has no support in the black community, he has done these really cynical campaigns that actually make it look like people are endorsing him, that are beloved by the black community, like Obama, like Joe Biden's another one he's done. I'll show you that in a second. And he thinks he'll win them over. He'll win them. And that's how he thinks about black people. He thinks they can be fooled like that. It's ridiculous. Even in his campaign, he's being racist. Even in his campaign, he's being racist. Okay? Here it is, where he openly... Biden, I know he's not really in the running. I mean, bless him. I saw a clip the other day. It's really sad now. I am utterly convinced. Hang on, I'll go big head for this, because it's a serious point. I've seen a lot going on the Biden campaign. If you followed the stream, I've been following the Biden campaign religiously. You can go watch the coverage on the YouTube on my YouTube. On the YouTubes, I'm just talking boomer. But I saw Biden when he was talking the other day. He was talking about his son who passed away, Beau Biden, and said that he was the Attorney General, which of course wasn't true, and it wasn't true at any point. And that, to me, that's done it now. That's put me over the edge into, maybe all of it could have been explained away. Maybe all of it could have been explained as, a series of unfortunate coincidences from public life in his senior years. But that right there, while you're trying to give a eulogy to someone that you dearly love and dearly miss, has only been passed away a few years. and you can't even remember what it was they did while you're talking about them. That's it for me now. I am fully in. He should be immediately medically discounted, and I hope he gets better. And I hope that they catch it soon enough. I hope they're already aware. I hope this is like, it's just sad. It's just sad, and. I'm not going to bang on Biden anymore. Like, when he was screaming, like, why? It was funny. It's not anymore. It's not. I'm done banging on Biden because I am now utterly convinced off the back of that clip. So, no more Biden numbers. It's not going to happen. But it's good news. We got fucking Bloomberg to bang on constantly. So, we can keep doing that. So, speaking of Biden, here he is. Joe Biden has dedicated his life to his country. Watch this cynical rat bastard bullshit.
The best way to predict the future is to create it. I don't know anybody I've worked with in my career, and I've been hanging around a long time, who does more to create the future than you, Mike. Mike Bloomberg transformed the city of New York into a global leader on public health and environmental stewardship.
Wait a second, guys. Wait a second. Just, I don't know. Does anyone think these photos were carefully selected? By any chance, does anyone think these photos were carefully selected?
Create the future than you, Mike.
Okay, not that
Mike
one where he stood in the
Bloomberg
box.
Transformed the city of New York into a global leader on public health and environmental stewardship.
Interesting, yeah.
While others talked about climate change, Mike took action. He helped reduce New York's greenhouse gas emissions by 16%. Mike has what every public official should have: passion matched with principle. Your legacy extends well beyond the 5 boroughs to a nation and a world that continues to benefit from the leadership that you have shown, and I am absolutely confident is going to exist in the years to come. The thing I like about Mike, it's not about words. It's always about action.
I'm Mike Bloomberg, and I approve this message.
I bet you do. So we are honored to have Joe's support. I mean, Joe's still in the race. Like, Joe's still in the race. So you take old footage of Joe Biden saying flattering things about you and talking about you in glowing terms at a function, and then you put it into an ad and basically say, hey, yeah, Joe Biden's supporting us. And you don't say endorse, because obviously that's got a very specific political meaning, but you say thanks to have your support, alluding to it, intimating it, hinting at it, suggesting it. It's vague, it's there, it hangs. So Bo Biden, but in the clip, he says that he was the Attorney General of the USA. Now, maybe he's just tripped up over his words again. It's fine, but listen, it's by the by. I'm off Biden. I'm not doing it. He's ill. I'm convinced. So there you have it. So he's done this now with Obama. He's done it with Biden. He's coming out and like saying, oh, yeah, like fucking all these people are endorsing me. What else did he do? Okay, what about claiming that he got New York through 9/11, the darkest of times? Well, slight problem there. Not AMC's The Walking Dead. Slight problem with that is that he became the mayor after the attacks. After it was Giuliani, you see, that did it quite famously. Whatever you think of him. So he's. Is this the ad? No, is it down here? Is this it?
Now, we know the Trump strategy: try to win by attacking, distorting, dividing.
Not like your campaign at all, which has been a completely exemplary high road from start to finish.
Mr. President, it won't work.
Newspapers report Bloomberg is the Democrat most as president. Universal health care that lets people.
Wait.
Won't work.
Newspapers report Bloomberg is the Democrat Trump fears most as president. Universal health care that
Yahoo News did
specifically. Creation, a doable plan to combat climate change.
I led a complex, diverse city through 9/11, and I have common sense plans to move America away from chaos to progress. Now we know that Trump.
Now, where are those fucking fact-checking gingerbread men when you fucking need them? Because that's a very easy one to fucking check. You weren't there. You weren't there.
Try to win.
It's you know, you didn't lead it through shit. Giuliani did. Everyone knows that. Like, fuck me. So that's another dirty trick and another lie that he did. Oh, here's another one. One of the things that's actually happened, which is great, I think, it gave me, I actually had my faith restored a little bit. I always had my faith restored just a bit in the mainstream media. Not for long, obviously, but Andrew Yang, you remember Yang Gang? You remember Andrew Yang? Andrew Yang took a job with CNN. You're saying turn the volume up. I can't make it any louder, I'm afraid, guys. The videos get uploaded to people's Twitter pages at the volume that they're at. I can't do anything about that. I can maybe overcrank the XSplit, but then it overcranks everything. So you're just going to have to listen to it. But anyway, so Yang Gang went and took a job with CNN. I don't mind that at all. Don't begrudge him it. But I did tell you, like I told you a million times, what's that? The same media that blacked him out, the same media that didn't want to fucking talk about his policies or his ideas, the same people that when they run the debates didn't give him a mic, didn't do this, didn't do that. Oh, what's that? As soon as he drops out the race, hey man, do you want to come and be part of the machine? Yeah, all right then, sure. And in they go. And that's how it works. That's how it works. We're sorry we had to fuck you. Think about Sean Spicer. When Sean Spicer, right, was doing the press secretary for the White House, and he was called a Nazi, a racist, a white supremacist, complicit with evil, all of these things. He was banged upon everywhere he went, every time he's out in public, getting barracked and heckled. As soon as he left the Trump administration, he's on fucking, what was it? Dancing with the Stars. This is how it works. It's a game. It's a game. The same way they suddenly decided the angle of attack was to say Donald Trump was racist, and they just kept fabricating stuff. The same way that they all, they're doing it with Bernie now, saying, "Oh, the Bernie bros too toxic. Russia wants Bernie in." There are serious media pundits now saying, if you're a Democrat, you'd be better off voting for Trump than Sanders. What's wrong with his picture? You told me he was Hitler. You told me he was Hitler. Why isn't he Hitler anymore? Why is Sanders worse than Hitler? What's going on? Anyway, this is what Andrew Yang said Bloomberg was up to, and that is that Bloomberg was calling donors, because the mega wealthy donors, what they do is they give to multiple candidates. They spread their money around. Well, what was Bloomberg doing? He was telling them, "Oh, don't worry, I've got this. So don't give any money to any candidate. I'll just pay. It's fine."
Donors who are on the sidelines right now, frankly, getting phone calls from Mike Bloomberg saying, "Hey, sit this one out. I got this." And if you're a donor, not donating is actually a pretty appealing pitch. Your money.
I'll do it. I'm sorry. Wait, can you say that again? Mike Bloomberg is calling donors saying, "Don't give to my opponents."
Mike Bloomberg is calling donors saying, "Hey, just sit this one out. I've got this. I'll bankroll the whole thing. Just don't donate to anybody."
You hear this? You know this?
Yeah.
I heard this from a major donor say that
Like your donor.
Yes, like a donor said that, and it's a person who donates to a number of candidates. Ordinarily, said that these are the phone calls that Mike.
One of the games. It's one of the rules.
Oh, and before I see somebody in the chat going, they let this air. Yang's been a revelation, by the way, guys. He is saying all sorts of shit. I don't know how long it's going to be before somebody gets him and says, "Listen, dude, like when we brought you in for this job, we kind of wanted you to like lie a little bit and say that the political process was completely fair and completely normal, and we don't have a big problem right here in America. So can you just zip it about how like an oligarch is bribing people not to give money to the DNC? If you can, because that really fucks up the whole narrative, right? So can you just not talk about that?" But he keeps doing it. He's been great. Yang, and listen, I really like Andrew Yang as a dude. Like, he is a guy that has something about him. Like, no doubt about it. He wasn't a viable candidate, but he's somebody that, I would have got on board if all my other choices, had kind of fallen by the wayside. Anyway, so there's that. Also, incredibly, what's that? Facebook. Do you remember when Facebook brought in these rules and the pressure from the Democrats saying, they're interfering with the elections. The Russians are rigging the elections. Memes are rigging the elections. Carpe Donkum fucking doctored videos are rigging the elections. So what they started doing was Twitter did this, Facebook did this, tech companies are now talking about deep fake technology, right? Deepfake is not an altered video. Deepfake is a specific type of technology that is meant to be so well done that it's indistinguishable from the real thing. That is what a deepfake is. But the media ran with it, so anybody putting a fucking face like a CNN logo over someone's head, that's a deepfake now, by the way, people, because the media is fucking dumb and evil and poisonous, okay? That's just how they operate. So they came out and they said deepfakes are dangerous. They could fool people and it would harm the integrity of our election. Not like us rigging a fucking primary again because we don't want Sanders to be the nominee. That's actually fine for democracy. You post in a fucking meme on Facebook, though, you better watch yourself. You might be a Russian. Well, I'm not a Russian. If we say you're a Russian, you're a Russian. New rules. Okay, cool. Excellent. So what they did is, all of a sudden, apropos of nothing, out of the blue, Bloomberg just happens to pay all these influencers to make memes, and then Facebook decide, Bloomberg's memes are okay. Bloomberg's memes are fine. Don't worry about that. Yeah, you have at it, billionaire. So Facebooks are going to allow Bloomberg memes, but not pro-Trump memes. Okay, cool. Nice little, fair little election thing we've got going on. Here's another thing he's done. Now we're starting to get down into the nuts and bolts of almost any political campaign these days. The bots. Deploy the bots. Send out my legion of bots. Why not? Everybody's got bots. This is a story over in the LA Times, which I won't click on because I don't know if the LA Times is going to go poopy or not in XSplit. But just so you can see, Twitter is suspending 70 pro-Bloomberg accounts citing platform manipulation. And you can just see here, there was lots of bot stuff repeating like a president is born. Barbara Streisand sings Mike's praises, all of this stuff. Deploy the bots. Deploy them. And people are saying, 70 accounts. Like, first of all, way more, obviously. They're just the ones that got caught because they were spamming too much. Second of all, there was only, 12 Facebook pages that could be tied to Russians? And you all said that fucking got Hillary fucking stuck. So, what are you talking about? 70 accounts by your standards, Democrats, is a hell of a lot. So there was that. And then, just to top it off, tie it off, he's also started paying for anti-Trump ads. Now, I live in Vegas, and I went to when Trump was here, and, I've been catching all the local stuff, the Sanders Street parties, wandering down to caucuses and stuff, just keeping up with it all. Well, he's been running these massive ads on the Strip. And this is it, and they're pathetic. It's so pathetic. Wherever Donald Trump goes, Bloomberg is taking out these ads that mock Donald Trump. Okay? So here you go. This one. Donald Trump has declared bankruptcy 6 times near Planet Hollywood. Donald Trump's wall fell over. Donald Trump went broke running a casino. Donald Trump lost the popular vote. Donald Trump lost the popular vote again with some more garbage underneath. Donald Trump cheats at golf. Well, that's it. It's all over now, guys. It's all up. Bloomberg's figured it out. There's no way any of you would go out and vote for a guy that cheats at golf. It's over. I mean, fuck, dude, like, I just, I never even thought about it that way myself, as a dyed-in-the-wool Trump supporter that I clearly am, I never thought about him being a golf cheat. I mean, there was all those financial irregularities, there's the missing, tax records, there's all this other stuff that's going on, the failed businesses, there's the Secret Service paying to stay in the Mar-a-Lago resort, there's all this stuff, but I mean, for me, me, the tipping point is that he might lie about his golf handicap, actually. That's just a bridge too far for me. I'm done. I apologize for all of my clearly pro-Trump stances, because a golf cheat they've got to be stopped, you know. So, I mean, that's the level of pettiness and petulance that Mikey Bloomberg is operating at. His entire campaign has been a joke, and it actually hides something more malevolent than all the jokes about gingerbread men and shit memes and him being short and all of this stuff. There's something really grotesque under the surface. And it's not just that Mike Bloomberg is a billionaire buying an election. It's not just that Mike Bloomberg is somebody with a history of implementing racist policies, saying racist things, thinking racist thoughts, even just out loud. And what it is it's the DNC refusing to cut this guy off at the knees, and they're hedging their bets. They're playing with Bloomberg. If he's ever in pole position, they'll back Bloomberg. If Bernie stays in pole position, which he's going to and will, and the only person that has a chance of taking him down is Bloomberg, they'll go with Bloomberg. That's where they're at. So, there's only one video that counts when it comes to Bloomberg, ladies and gentlemen. I want to bring it to you. And this is when Michael Bloomberg, for some reason, appeared on stage at a musical and was dancing around to various songs, including Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid. You will never take him seriously, if you ever did, ever again after seeing this. I think it is my solemn duty to bring this to you, so you are insulated against him as a serious candidate. For there can never be a serious candidate that has done this.
Not like Bermuda in NYC. Down here we got snapping turtles.
Up there we got big bed bugs.
Down here the whale's making trouble.
Up there A-Rod's taking drugs.
New Yorkers the bravest people. The cops on the beat they care.
It's true, firefighters, teachers. We got heroes everywhere.
Good life in NYC.
So that's all you need to know, really, about the Bloomberg campaign. People joke about Zuckerberg being an alien on a lot less evidence than this, by the way. Like, he just didn't even seem to be doing anything properly there. It was all over the place. His movement was all over the place. His attempts at speech were all over the place. Yep, he had a tail. Alex Jones would be having a field day with this video if he wasn't completely deplatformed from the internet. Anyway, so that is the Bloomberg campaign in a nutshell. That's all you need to know about the Bloomberg campaign.